Well, we're going live in Paris.
Oh, we are live in Paris.
Man, the get cannon.
Activate the...
Ça va bien. Merci.
Activate Universal Translator for Webby.
It'll just keep coming up as surrender over and over again.
And we've now lost all of our French subscribers. Thank you very much, Alex.
We would like to apologise to our only French viewer, Mr. Jean-Luc Pickard.
Oh dear. Well, on that happy note, while we're all trying to contain our laughter, let's play that intro one more time. Seriously, don't laugh.
French edition.
Oh well, I failed. Hello and welcome everybody back to the further misadventures of the USS Navis. We've just been joined by Navis. And hello. We have the return of our Chief Science Officer, John.
Oh.
Hello. Great to have everybody with us here today on episode 15. We mentioned last week that episode 15 is going to be, in TV terms, the season finale of season 1 of USS Navis. Hopefully this means the network will pick us up for another season.
So the ship's going to explode on this on a cliffhanger or something like that.
Only if Edwards is the one driving the ship.
Haven't wrecked it yet.
That's why he's in medical, and you haven't flown the Navis yet. You're not trusted.
Well.
So technically my statement is correct.
Remember, you can't be chief pilot until you can do reverse parallel parking.
at full impulse.
On behalf of the entire engineering staff of this ship and the starbase.
I thought it was when you could power slide into the space dock without damaging anything.
On behalf of the engineering staff of this ship and the starbase.
Mr. Cabal, initiate Cabal Maneuver Alpha 1.
What, you wanted to do a 180 parking maneuver?
Well, that was ramming speed.
Well, doesn't have ramming speed.
No, it's still a radio maneuver.
Well, let's just check everybody's on board. Is everybody linked into Foundry?
Yep.
Awesome.
Yes, apparently.
Not hearing everybody, so let me turn things down as smidgeroo, just so I can make sure that I'm getting everybody's voices coming in.
Everyone was kung fu fighting.
And it's at this point people choose to go quiet.
The only time.
There we are. Here's a test. Phenomenon. There we go.
And thus we are copyrighted by the Muppets.
Well, there's our first cross-reference joke.
Well, yes indeed.
No, I already beat you with that one.
Yes, but you don't count.
Well, blimey, yes.
I've just been told that song doesn't make sense.
Well,
And
yeah, we have stuff to get through, not the least of which is a little summary of what happened last time, which, while investigating a strange distortion in the Madrigal system, unfortunately, the crew lost one of their most recent members from Science Division, was Lieutenant Erienne. She got unfortunately dragged into wherever that anomaly went to by a pair of massive blue hands that took away the black ship that's also appeared before. But fortunately, we've not seen the likes of again. So, in regards to this particular episode, this one is called Emergency on Ceti Alpha V. So that's where we'll be going today. Now, as a little note, this episode takes place about 2 months after our previous adventure. But before we get into any particulars regarding the story itself in the episode, we are going to turn ourselves over to the Science Division, where we are once again trying to find out how to make something new and interesting. This time...
Just out of interest, do we know about what happened at Ceti Alpha V?
Not yet. Or are we talking overall?
Overall, as in sort of like
ago.
the sort of like the how much of the Federation reports are issued about Ceti Alpha V.
Kirk never filed a report. Ever.
Okay, right, fine. Nothing happened.
No, but Spock did.
Actually,
They're 25 pages long each.
no, actually, Kirk did send a report. It's 20 pages long, and it's one single word just stretched out.
We all saw it coming, come on.
Yes, but I'm still going to say it.
As far as it's actually a valid question, actually, as far as Star Trek lore goes. But as far as I remember, it was either in the book or it was part of like the edit that went on the cutting room floor. But it is mentioned that the crew of the Reliant were rescued later on because they were just dumped on Ceti Alpha V while Khan nicked off with the Reliant. So that would suggest that a rescue operation was made, and therefore Starfleet and the Federation do know about Ceti Alpha V. So thanks for making sure we got that clarified. Cool beans. So yes, we'll get back to that in just a moment. On the meantime, we have a certain type of botanical experiment going on with Dr. Bertram, who is trying to create another bizarre plant hybrid, where he's trying to combine the glowing mushrooms to create a light source while also making them edible so that they're an emergency food source. So far, results have been promising, using botany as the primary hypothesis. I believe Lieutenant Nova volunteered to try one and ended up glowing for a good couple of hours, which she found intensely amusing, apparently.
Yep.
Still a future. You officially found your willing guinea pig for whatever experiments you have now.
Oh, yeah, I noticed you specified willing.
Yeah.
Does that mean you don't want to be the guinea pig for this one?
Got my own experiment to do.
Go
You know,
on.
in some...
We're still putting together the stun gun.
Oh yes, so you are.
We had
Fair
quite a
point.
big of a breakthrough through it when we switched to computing.
So we've also
Last
got
week.
that to do. Science! Woo!
Thought you might have forgotten.
To be
I've
fair
got it
on the
written
DM,
right in front of me too, and I completely glossed over it.
Alex, to be fair on the DM, that's infinitely less interesting than the new type of mushroom.
Right.
The mushroom obviously captured my attention more than the sonic stun gun.
Call it by its real name, Glomeromycota.
Thank you. I've got it written down phonetically as well, just in case.
Oh, Glimmer, your coat, damn it.
Yeah, you let me
Remember,
sort of
it's
like
a
do the
family show.
moss-related puns.
Well,
What was that, Davis? I didn't quite catch that.
Said it's a family show. We gotta be fun, guy.
I'd like to have Vibers be the next unwilling guinea pig, please.
You'll have to pass that through command, I'm afraid.
Okay. Andrews, are you all right with that?
There's only so many names the form can hold for these type of experiments. There isn't mushroom.
Right.
Oh,
Well,
dear.
that settles it.
It was the first one out the airlock.
So, the new test will not involve it being taken orally. We're going to get Latude to beam it directly into the digestive system.
Thank you for finishing that sentence.
I am
Yes.
so glad that the Latude have got arrangements on certain things.
Medical
Man.
override.
What are you on about? We've got overrides that bypass Admiralty, never mind medical.
That's a darn good point. We'll get to that.
Shall I start making my roll before this gets even more?
Well, I
chaotic?
was going to say, before we go any further down this particular rabbit hole, maybe we should give the Doctor his chance to test his theory to the end. So we were using botany, so it was going to be... where were we? Well, reason or insight could be good attributes, but the discipline has to be medicine.
Yep.
This is gonna be difficulty 3, so let's see how well you do.
But then, as is botany, I shall activate the Cochrane Medal of Excellence.
Flashed up on your screen for your convenience.
Yep. So that is, I believe, a point of determination. Determination, I guess. So.
Right, so it's definitely 4 successes.
Yeah. And I received 2 of the benefits of spending a point of determination instead of 1, so I believe that raises it to 6.
6. Blimey. Which means we got 3 over and above what we needed, which means that goes into your momentum pool.
Yay!
And we count that as the final success that you needed to go down this particular hypothesis. And I agree with you. Botany was definitely the way to go, since you're essentially doing what most botanists have done throughout history, which is just combining bits of different plants to produce desired outcomes. So you have now managed to successfully create a fungus that can be depressed, and I don't mean sad, to activate its luminescence, and the luminescence only lasts for so long.
Yeah.
But it also works as a very nutritious piece of food that you can use in an emergency. Whether or not it comes in a delightful variety of flavors, it's entirely up to Starfleet science from here on in, who will take the success of what Dr. Bertram has done and put it through the proper channels.
Woot!
So that's another success for the Glomeromycota. Did I get that right?
That's right.
Woo!
Woo!
So now we have to see if the 2 guys who were trying to create the sonic stun gun have managed to actually do it. So let's see. You had tried acoustics before now and found that to be the incorrect one. You're currently going down the path of computers as the means of trying to create the ideal sonic stun gun. So let's see. This, for Edwards and Vibers, is going to be a reason or insight and engineering, but science can also be made a case for as well. Science.
It was Vibers leading, I do believe.
Because Vibers has the focus of computers, yes. This is going to be difficulty 4, bearing in mind. What you're trying to create is difficult and specific, since you want to make it apply to as many different life forms as possible. So
this is gonna be. What this counts as. I'm gonna roll for this one.
will they do it, ladies and gents?
Is this control and engineering or control and science? So,
I'm going to say it's going to be more reason or insight. Probably reason for Vibers. And
reason
engineering.
Or, yeah.
Yep.
Right.
Focus on computer supplies.
We do actually have some momentum if you want to grab one.
Yeah, we do have momentum
using
now.
the ship's computers to assist with this as well.
If you want to use the ship's computer, then absolutely you can. Somebody can be the computer. How about John? John hasn't given us some rolls in a while. If you can find the ship.
I should be able to.
So if you can do that one, and then
Looking for computers and science.
Do you
I
want
will
the
concur.
momentum then, Davis?
If everyone else is alright with you grabbing a momentum, then you can grab a momentum.
Yep.
yeah, I'll grab a momentum.
Alright, so nothing from the Navis.
Do you want to do your roll, Alex, for one, and then I'll pull mine in with a momentum.
One success from Edwards. It's all on Vibers now. 3 successes need to be made up. You got
And-
2.
No, because I have technical expertise. Whenever we're assisted by the ship's computers, we may re-roll a dice.
Aha. So, you can have John re-roll the no successes of the computer?
It can be applied
Oh,
to a
sorry.
person rather than the ship, and the person is better at it.
Well, he's redone it for the computer.
He's
anyway,
already done
so-
it for the computer. David, so Vibers
I hit
gives
the
the
button
computer
while
a swift
it's
kick. Bam!
Well, it
Work.
failed its own stuff, but it found my spelling mistake.
Okay, that's not bad. So yeah, a couple of successes down the line. So you pursue computers as your main method of trying to get at the sonic stun gun. Sadly, it's not quite what you want. You've now got this overcomplicated box thing, which is part computer, part bioscanner, part sonic emitter. And you've written this wonderful code to try and make all the things interact, but the thing takes so long to decide what to do, from having to use the scanner, collate the results, then decide based on a database which frequency to go for, then assign the frequency. It's all a little too much. So computers was a let's put this in perspective. When you did acoustics, you learned a lot about how acoustics work. Now you've done computers and you've created this awesome code, but it's not quite there yet. But you have pursued this avenue to its conclusion, so you can try another one. So, just to remind you, the hypotheses you chose were xenolinguistics, because linguistics and sound, okay. Acoustics, which you've done. Computers, which you've now completed. Biology and communications. Again, communications, sound, whatever. So you've got 3 you haven't tried. So,
If I might suggest that this information points in the direction that biology is the issue.
I was thinking that's going to be it. So we were trying to stick to our bit more strengths, but it might be biology.
We're trying to solve something in the computer's that's a fundamental problem.
At least we
Yeah.
got through it with like 2 sessions this time, rather than the other one, which took ages.
So you're going to have to restart from scratch at the beginning of the next episode, at the beginning of the next season. So, will we finally see the Vipers and Edwards Sonic Stun Gun in Season 2? Folks will have to tune in and find out.
Our survey says no.
Our survey says the important thing is new fungus.
New fungus.
Fine. When we're done, it might just be an earbone liquidation tool. We'll see.
We shall indeed see. Okay, so now back to the episode at hand. So I'm going to throw us into Captain's Personal Log, stardate 49726.2. It has now been 2 months since we lost Lieutenant Turin to the anomaly in the Madrigal system. During that time, the Navis was granted special dispensation to search the Shackleton Expanse for anything that could point us to where our wayward crewmen had been taken to. Sadly, we have come up with no leads. Revisiting the various sites of the mysterious monoliths have yielded no new data. But it seems our leeway has run out. With tensions running high between the Klingon Empire and the Federation, the Navis has been posted to patrol the border with the Klingons. Our patrol, however, has been cut short. We've just received orders to proceed to the Mutara system with all haste, as the science outpost on Ceti Alpha V needs evacuating due to sudden increased instability in the planet's crust. Meanwhile, I have a certain bittersweet task to attend to. So, I'm just going to take us off of this as we join the captain in her ready room as the chime for somebody at the door goes off. And when the captain says enter, Commander Andrews enters into the captain's ready room. Sophia, I will make this quick and to the point. It hasn't gone unnoticed that you have more than qualified for captaincy, especially with how well you coped during the 15 weeks of my absence. So, I thought I would let you know that as of this morning, I actually posted my recommendation for you to be granted captaincy of your own vessel. Now, I will say that you have more than exceeded my expectations as first officer, but I know this is something you have been driving for, and I can think of no one I think better for the role of being captain of a ship than yourself.
Thank you for the recommendation, Captain. But for now, I think my place is still on the Navis.
Well, certainly the Navis can use your help. And in that regard, the captain turns around from where she was sitting just propped up on her desk and hands Andrews a pad. This is the latest information we have from the science outpost on Ceti Alpha V. As you can see from the report, they have been experiencing even more geological instability since their last request. So, I need you to do what you do best. Start rallying the departments. We're going to be having to transport quite a few people and material on board the ship in the near future.
I assume we are fully evacuating the research outpost, Captain. Do we know
Apparently so.
numbers?
The current count is about 25 people in all. But we're also taking on all of their science experiments, their archaeological data, and whatever data they've managed to accrue whilst there. So,
Understood, Captain.
well then, I suppose it's time we got back to the office. You go ahead and start organizing the departments. I will meet you just shortly.
Of course, Captain.
Chief Medical Officer's log. Completed yet another brilliant bit of botanical brilliance. I like the alliteration. Meanwhile, the science guys are still having trouble with their projects. Hope they don't try stalking my mushrooms. Oh dear. Stalking?
That would
Really?
be too much truffle.
I'm going to say that Bertram actually puts this in his personal logs.
You know,
With
or
Mr. Edward standing next to him as well. He dictates it. Himself.
well, it depends. Have you actually assigned him to medical?
I think he's going to medical. He wants to be on con. He's not having con.
Okay, well, we join our intrepid crew whilst they are on the bridge. So, yes, the Navis has been on course for the Ceti Alpha system for the last couple of hours. Chef's log? Oh dear. This is starting to turn into that thing like on Star Trek Lower Decks when the Cerritos has a reputation for just silly stuff. Like the laughing stock of Starfleet. Thankfully, Navis at least gets things done. But I wonder if there's a reputation for the Navis amongst Starfleet. And there's our other cross-franchise quote for the day. Sorry, John.
So in this instance, the away team beams down, glowing like the coming dawn, and everyone is like, "Oh yes, that makes sense to the Navis."
No, I'm imagining that. I imagine they beam down and there's one glowing like crazy. Bertram goes, "Okay, who ate their emergency dose of glomeromycota before there was an emergency? Nova."
Imagine it'd be like a kid at school was going around trading bits of her lunch for it.
And remember,
Give you this for your mushroom.
these are supposed to be used in environments or during incidents where technology is either unable to be used or is knocked out, such as the mission we had a few months back.
They are not to be used as snacks, to be eaten while on duty at ops. Anyway.
Yeah. On the plus side, when the next time the Romulans try picking a fight and they communicate with us on screen to taunt us, they're going to be very confused at one of us.
Can you turn down your screen's brightness, please? There's something going on with lens flare.
You can make the application of the mushrooms a lot more appealing if you put them into a chicken and mushroom slice. You're remaking ginsters in space.
Starfleet vessel, we are attempting to gloat and threaten you. Can you turn down your ops officer, please?
Go on, Webby.
I was just going to say is that it's the Romulans going, I see that you're using the J.J. Abrams lighting effect.
And we know where the handbrake is.
Okay. Restrained and unrestrained at the same instance. Nova's restraining herself? Interesting.
Changeless.
Well, it's within the space of the next hour, and the navigator gets the alert that you are now approaching the Ceti Alpha system.
Shall we raise shields when we drop out of warp? Because we've learned from this before.
If you want to have shields raised when you go into the Ceti Alpha system, then by all means.
Yellow alert.
Yellow
If it's
alert.
all right with the captain and the first officer, Bertram will be preparing some spaces in the medical facilities for quarantine procedures, just in case this is shaking up anything that we're not aware of.
Yeah, fully agree. I think as well is that we have decontamination areas on the within the shuttle bay and also in the transporter rooms.
Okay.
Cool.
So that would have been part of the organisation that you would have been doing. So while we're on the subject, were there any other preparations that you wanted to make.
Sensitive areas of the ship are being sealed off because we're going to have large numbers of visitors on board, and I don't want them falling into the impulse drive.
And if there are any ongoing experiments that it would be important not to halt, it would be good to have some lab space open to.
Yeah, that's all good. Sounds good.
And the other one, which I'm not sure if it's a Nova or a Cabal thing, but we're on Akira. We can actually do a fly through Shuttle Bay, so we can be prepared for doing rolling, unloading, and loading of people.
Yeah,
Flying
absolutely.
In, drop out, fly out the back.
Yeah. As you pointed out, that is the big advantage of having an Akira class vessel, which might very well be the main reason the Navis was posted, is that the Navis has got a very large shuttle bay, as you quite rightly point out. So yeah. Righty.
The only other prep we've got is, I'm thinking, Engineering Bravo has been told to man one of the worker bees.
Man a worker bee. Okay.
The reason being is, if somebody crashes a shuttlecraft in that bay while we're trying to do this, it's going to be a pain in the ass. So if we
Good
have
point.
the worker bee that we've got in our bay out of the bay, we can fly them in to grab whatever's in the way and pull it out so they can get the next load of people through.
I like it. So you've got someone on standby in case there's some kind of bottleneck or an obstruction.
Yeah,
of
got
some
someone
kind.
there for
Nice.
bottleneck and removing obstructions and traffic control.
Good.
He's just
I like
standing
it.
there with a red light, green light. He just turns the ship to starboard or port so we get the red light or the green light.
Hey, if it works, don't back.
Don't knock it. Yes, indeed. No, I like that. That's good. So we got
Well, that also means-
freeing up science labs, getting medical ready, and getting the shuttle bay ready for constant traffic. I like. Okay, so we exit the we find ourselves in the Ceti Alpha system. The captain asks for the view screen to be put on, and what you get is, well, what you would kind of expect of the Ceti Alpha system is that you have a massive ring of planetary debris near the, what's now the 6th and 5th planets, since the original 6th planet exploded some time ago, and has as such created a rather large asteroid field. So, steady as she goes, Helm, we need to get through this asteroid field without issue. So, we've been witness over the course of these last 14 episodes as to the awesome ability of Lieutenant Commander Thazanan's piloting ability, so I am willing to take it as read that Cavall does pilot the Navis through the asteroid field. But if you want to make a con task check, just to try and build up some momentum, I am happy for that to be the case.
I'm sure we love more momentum.
Give it.
So,
I think I'll.
Yeah, go for it.
I think I'll.
Yeah, carry on.
I think I'll try and nudge some of these smaller asteroids, play a bit of ping pong or something.
Like planetary snooker with asteroids.
So would you prefer the sensors be for the asteroid belt, or can I begin preparations to focus on opening scans of the planet?
Well, what's the XO think?
I think Mr. Cabal would want the sensors off. He's going in blind. So yes, I think setting up planetary scans would be more preferable.
Okay, cool. So, we'll
No,
get...
No, we are not. We're not catching one and scratching the Carpathia.
So the first thing we're going to want then is for Caval's piloting role. Somebody can be the Navis. So who hasn't had a go yet? Shaun? You haven't had a roll yet. Neither has Webby, but we'll do Shaun for now as the Navis, who gets to do engines and con to assist Caval's. Well, it's going to be daring and con, isn't it?
Definitely.
Flying through an asteroid field. So, let's see, what have we got? Asteroid field 4. So this has actually got difficulty 4 to get through, but that gets lowered down to 3 with Caval, if I remember.
Yes.
So, there you go. So you've got
guess
no
it's-
help from the ship.
It's actually not a trivial task.
It is not a trivial task.
Can I assist as being going through the checklist again?
Absolutely. So this system has the trait Asteroid Field 4. This also has a complication range on all navigation and con checks that now is 16 to 20 rather than just 20. So that's what you're dealing with.
Range 5.
Okay.
I think I'll use my Stark's medal. So I don't know when I'm going to get to use it again.
Well, exactly. May as well use it now.
So that means anything below a 10 is supposed to be doubled.
There you go. So just for the sake of it.
Oh, dear.
All right. Cool.
Bonk, what's that bouncing off the hull?
Well, pretty much.
He scratches the Carpathia, doesn't he?
No, the shuttle bay gets hit, the ship comes loose, and you see the Carpathian floating out.
Carpathia!
Californian, the Carpathia. Yeah, I don't blame folks for getting those. Does that mean I get to take away one of your momentum when you get names wrong? No? Okay.
I think technically...
That just sounds fair.
That sounds fair.
Yeah. It's like,
No, it's fine, I'll go with it. It's fine, I was only joking. Right, so you needed... Well, you needed 3 successes, you got 2.
Technically, that 6 is supposed to be a second success because of
It
the
is.
Starcross.
That's quite right, I did forget that. So that means you did get 3 successes, which means you got enough to get through. But, yes, Caval, whether he wanted to or not, actually does nudge a fairly large asteroid, which does set off a bit of a... How did you describe it? Ping pong? Was it ping pong or was it... What am I thinking of?
Yeah, I said table tennis and somebody else said
Table tennis.
snooker. I think Webby said snooker.
Well, I was actually thinking of something else, but the name actually escapes me now.
As long as it's not highlight.
Anyways, there's now a lot of asteroids flying about, smacking into each other, creating more asteroids. As a result...
Mr. Clark, fire all phases!
As a result, the ship does rock as you suffer 1 breach to structure. Now, whenever the ship takes damage to the structure, whenever there's impact on structure, we have to roll a challenge dice. And if an effect is rolled, then something bad happens. So I'm going to do that now. Ooh, oh no! An effect is rolled! So, yes, a random character has been injured.
Not Mr. Minoka.
That's the one.
And so I'm gonna go through my checklist here. Have I got everybody? Got Claude, yep. Edwards, Bertram, Latude. I got the Bravos. I got Teak, Kirst, Vizal. All right then, let's roll to see who gets a console explode in their face. Well, that can't happen because she's not here. So
One of the hands grabs the console, brings it back, and chucks it in Rin's face on the other side of the galaxy, wherever she is.
Which means
D23.
Yeah, technically cursed is in her position, but yeah, you gotta re-roll
Yep,
it.
so we'll go with the science station behind Natala and in front of Cursed kind of blows up as Cursed unfortunately gets injured.
How did we go from a roll to generate momentum to injury to the crew?
Injury to a member of the crew? Well, I did say we could assume, or you could try rolling. Rolling carried a risk.
Never
But now
again.
you know. So, it's not a medical emergency as such. Cursed is conscious, but
I'm
she's...
still treating it as a medical emergency.
Yeah.
She's been injured.
Console's
blown up.
fried, crew member injured, one breach to the structure of the ship, but that helps to illustrate nicely. Vibers refuses. Illustrates nicely what happens when the ship
We
does
haven't
take a
gotten
breach.
these till Tuesday.
Okay, apparently Bertram's on his way up to the bridge now.
Well, it doesn't have to be Bertram. We can send Nurse Bravo.
Yep.
You said all that we got was a medical emergency, so I'm assuming that half the crew's dead.
Would
Edwards
be
to
presuming.
engineering?
No, Edwards would be still in medbay unless Bertram's ordering him elsewhere.
Oh, send Nurse Edwards.
If it's a medical emergency, I'm not gonna send someone who's literally been, who's literally having his first day. Not unless you actually order it to be Edwards.
Oh, I'd so love to see him in a nurse's outfit. Just coming onto the bridge.
Why would it be a nurse's outfit?
I'm pretty sure the equivalent nurse's outfit would just be the blue Starfleet uniform.
Well, pretty much, yes. So all that's done is Edwards' uniform has changed colour. So. Oh, the horror! He's gone from red to blue. Well,
That does
meanwhile,
mean changing the bulb.
yes, Cursed needs to be taken to the sick bay with superficial burns. Unfortunately, it means her whiskers are scorched. So they're
Do I
gonna
need
have
to
to
make any medical rules to
Not
save
really,
them?
no. Not unless you want to risk another complication.
Well, guys, do you want me to risk another complication?
Do it. It's the season
Okay.
finale.
Apparently,
It's
I'm
the
risking
season.
another complication.
All right then. So this time, sorry, who was I didn't catch who that was. John?
That was John.
Yep. Well, if you're going to sickbay, then you can use the computer's help to diagnose the problem. So once
Okay.
again, somebody else can be the Navis.
We can get Nurse Edwards to contribute as well.
You can get Nurse Edwards to contribute as well.
Ensign.
Nurse Edwards.
No,
Back in.
Ensign. Nurse requires qualifications.
Alright, okay, fine.
So whoever
Clever
wants to be the
Edwards.
Navis is going to be assisting with sensors and medicine. So who hasn't rolled much today so far?
You haven't.
So if I'm assisting, what do I roll? I'm just going to be like
So,
reason plus medicine?
I've rolled one, John's rolled one.
Reason or control? It's fine with me since you're just using the tech that's there.
Yeah,
Am I doing the same or?
Nope. That hovered on something acceptable. It really did.
Am I
Season
doing
finale, they actually kill themselves.
Am I doing reason and medicine or control
Yes,
and medicine?
please. Yes, please.
And
Either
can I
or.
use surgery as a focus?
Yes, you can.
You have something to negate my uh-oh.
I got 2 successes. How about that?
Okay. John, do you want to be the Navis, please? Assisting with what was it? Sensors and medicine. See if we
These
can at
don't
least
also
get the,
complicate
success
and
out.
have another console explode.
No successes. 2 successes and a complication. Okay. Turns out the injury to Ensign Curse is actually a lot more severe than it at first appeared. So she's going to need to get some healing surgery done on her eyes. Being a Catian, her eyes are quite sensitive to light changes. As such, when the thing flashbanged in front of her face, it actually injured her eyes somewhat. So she's going to need a good bit of treatment, which will take her out of commission for a goodly long time. Which, as a result, will knock down Lieutenant Commander Natala's resource personnel allocation in science, as a result of Cursed being now unavailable.
Understood.
I suggest a bionic eye.
Edwards, no! That's a terminal scanner, not a thermal regenerator!
However,
I'm so glad it was something technical. I was afraid someone's going to say I just brought an ice cream scoop and just...
Just start mashing her eyes out.
Or what we call... Or we do a Darth Strathmore and just... 30-second death count, 15, 5... Sorry.
at her station, Lieutenant Commander Natala gets a reading on sensors. That's apparently the computer has flagged worthy of notice. So, the Navis's sensors has detected an energy emanation that doesn't match what's expected of the debris field in the Ceti Alpha system.
Unusual readings on sensors, Commander.
Understood. Carry out an additional preliminary scan. Continue to monitor on the location.
So this will revolve around Natala giving us a case can be made for control or reason and science, definitely with the focus of sensor operations. This can also be assisted by the Navis, so who hasn't rolled much so far?
Shaun and I are on one. So.
Okay. Do either of you want to be the Navis, then, assisting in this sensor task?
Last time where we can take it.
Okay. The hat of blame is shifted. So, whoever's taking it as the Navis, you will be giving us... Yeah, I agree. Sensors and science.
Yeah.
This will be
strong
difficulty
skills of Navis.
1. 3 successes. John's back and kicking ass, science-wise. So you get 2 extra
Reroll
minutes.
that one. Webby, you can re-roll that one from the technical expertise.
Way. So re-roll the Navis's one, please. More or less. Okay, that's fine. That's fine. That's fine. You got 1 over. You got 2 over what you needed. So yes, Natala. The sensors are picking up an energy emission coming from a static. I say a static. A solid object in amongst the debris field, whose material composition doesn't match that of the planetary debris around it. In fact, with that number of successes gained, I'm going to say that the energy signature looks all too familiar to the pentagonal monoliths you've been encountering so much of. But this one is... rather than giving out subtle waves of energy, this one is a shining beacon of energy, just kind of floating out there in space.
Just a claw to fire at will.
Definitely one of our historical friends.
Yes.
I think Cabal take emergency evasive action. We are not losing power again.
Engine room preparing for bump start maneuver.
So, what Natala is noticing is that the energy output that this monolith hanging in space is giving out is actually starting to give out a fair amount of interference.
Is there a... What sort of range is it projecting this energy at?
That's a good question. At the moment, sensor scans indicate that the amount of energy given off goes out to a couple of about 2, 3, 4 kilometers, which isn't that much, but for some reason, this is generating a field of interference in its vicinity, but you're also detecting a similar type of interference field coming from the planet Ceti Alpha V. So you reckon that's going to make transporting down to the surface difficult? Not impossible, but difficult. But I am now going to add the trait. Let's see. Energetic interference of... let's say 2. So that's going to add 2 to the difficulty of any attempts to scan the planet or indeed beam down to the planet. Okay. So, is there anything else you would like to do in regards to the asteroid field and the monolith you've discovered there?
I think we launch a probe at it.
Okay. What everyone else on board with that?
Yes. Would you prefer this probe be? What is the intention of it? Do you want to try and counter? So if we get enough information, we could potentially adjust for the transportation, or we're just trying to gather more information.
So yeah, do you want it to gather specific information, or do you want it to just sit there and collate data?
I think... personally, I think data acquisition, because it's just... we want to know if that probe, well, if that beacon changes suddenly. Because, yes, it means that transporters are difficult, but we've still got shuttles, etc., which don't seem to be affected. So.
I'm also wondering whether these multiple signs of disruption could be caused by multiple sources. This may not be the only monolith in the system.
Good point. Worth considering.
Is this a likely cause of the geological instabilities the planet's been experiencing, given the catastrophic effects we've seen with these things before?
Ooh, very good point.
Ceti Alpha V was Ceti Alpha 6 was already unstable to begin with, but yes, it could have potentially contributed.
Yeah. Which might mean that if we start seeing similar things here, we might be on the time limit to evacuate the people down there.
Okay, priority then becomes people, research equipment secondary.
Yeah.
Alright then. So, you want to first stop off and fire off a probe, and then continue on to Ceti Alpha V, yes?
Yeah.
Awesome. None of that is any problem. The probe can be sent off without any difficulty, unless you actually want to make another.
We roll for it, Doctor. We need to fire a new probe. Meet me in the torpedo base.
Why are you asking me to program a probe
again?
Because it worked so well last time. Oh wait.
You have an entire science division, an entire engineering division, and I'm also trying to save Ensign Kurt's eyesight here.
Doctor, this is a high priority.
Ah dear. So if you actually want to make the roll... If you want to actually make the roll of firing the probe, then it's going to either be Claught on tactical or Nova on ops who are going to be dealing with that kind of nonsense. So it's entirely up to you guys if you actually want this to go down to a task roll. You're doing so well with it so far. Trying to generate extra momentum or extra calamities.
Nova's fault if it goes wrong.
Nova's fault. So who wants to fire the probe?
Nova.
Yeah,
sounds like Nova. I like. So this is going to come down to...
Mr. Claw, press the fire button.
Yeah, this is going to come down to a control and science check methinks, probably aided by the ship's targeting system. So, whoever wants to be the Navis giving an aid to this?
Alex or Jan are at 2.
So, who wants it?
You go for Jan?
Yeah, Jan, okay. So, let's see. The sensible thing would be maybe... I don't know, Jan, what do you think?
Are we...
Just launching a probe.
I guess...
So,
Yeah.
sensors and science, I think, maybe?
Yeah, I think sensors and science.
Yeah, I agree. Alright then. Difficulty for this is just 1, so you're gonna... Well, there's 2 right there. So, and an extra one. So there you are, you're on full momentum. The captain breathes a sigh of relief. Well, something went right today. So...
Meow.
I'm just nervous.
That's
number 1.
That's really specious to Ensign Kirst. I do apologise.
Yeah, and she's got enough to be dealing with.
She doesn't know. She's not on the bridge.
Alright, so this is the point as you enter orbit into Ceti Alpha V. This is where the Navis kicks into action. So, the crew are now busy going about their duties. The shuttle bay, as you can imagine, is one very busy place. So, yeah, Ensign Keshen gets a communication from the surface saying that apparently the shuttle landing pad is free, so that the first shuttles can start making their descent. The captain wants an initial away team to go down to start things off, so the EXO gets to choose her team. Davis, you were about to say something before I cut you off.
Alright, I was going to say it's probably directing a team set up on the shuttle bay for loading and shuttling people. So our old tactical officer and even security chief.
You're sounding a bit quiet to me, sorry, Davis. I couldn't quite catch all of that.
Effectively, he was saying that not the away team, but the people set ready to receive the oncoming people would be Security Bravo and Teak.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, we palmed off Direxia.
Swapped her out, yes. Okay, yeah, that's fine. So you've got folks ready to receive.
For a newer model.
Oh, I thought we just jumped on night shift.
Shush.
Okay, so yeah, Claude was very pleased with the decision you made to bring him on board the Navis. He actually got to fire phases at a ship and everything last episode.
Yeah.
So, yeah, the initial away team crew, who do you want to send?
I've just realised actually is that Andrews is kind of like got a massive like hero. You know, it's sort of like you have a fan relationship, sort of like, you know, it's sort of, she's got a massive fan affection for Claude, like Claude.
I see. I want to say fangasm, but that's something else entirely.
Oh, no.
Everyone loves Claude. Yes, that's the name of our new spin-off series.
Should it be a primarily medical away team? Or?
Well, it was season 2 was going to be Star Trek Claude, wasn't it? It was just a supporting character to Claude.
Well, they're actually looking to evacuate personnel and their equipment, so it's a little of everything, really, if you think about it. Because there's going to be quarantine. There's going to be medical quarantine procedures, but there's also going to be scientific equipment and data, which science, of course, would be suited to handle. There's going to be engineering, because stuff is going to need to be taken apart and deactivated, ready for transport. You're going to need someone to fly you down. You know, there's.
Is it worth taking both runabouts to evacuate quicker?
Yeah, one could be used to start evacuations, but you know, the other could be used to shepherd the ground staff. But yeah, absolutely.
So let's let's start making an away team.
Right, if you're going to take the runabouts, then I need to use the correct tool for the job, and I'm going to need to find me another runabout.
The question is, which of the senior crew wouldn't want to go? Because I think it's a case of we send majority of the senior crew. Because that means we've got the different for engineering, science, operations. Pilots, we can have Edward's pilot, even though Andrews is a better pilot. But then he's on medical duty, so we'd have 2 doctors. Can't move Bertram, can't move Edwards, can't move Fazbear. Hey, I can move them there. Where are there people? There's no people, is it? Yes, I think it'd be the senior kind of like, well, the actual players.
I'm sorry.
Cool. So...
If anyone doesn't really wants to stay behind.
Yeah, so who's going? So we've got Natala, we've got Andrews, we've got Fibers and Bertram and Edwards. Who's flying the runabout down?
I say we'd split it so that there'd be Cabal and Edwards, or Cabal and Andrews. If Cabal wishes to fly the runabout, we'll put him on the Californian.
So pretty much everyone can go, really, can't they? Because you're taking 2 down. So that's not so bad. Let's put your replacements. I say replacements. Nobody can replace you. Actually, you can have Jenny. She's not high enough rank.
She's an ensign, she can be in position. Mr. Monaghan is wearing the wrong colour shirt, you can't besides.
Well, technically, Natala could wear red as well.
Yeah, this is true.
Okay, so Caval's coming, yes?
Yep.
Cool.
Taking
And
Nova.
Nova's coming, I presume?
Yeah, but he's feeling looked at.
Oh, feed him.
Oh, yes.
Of course. My mistake.
Getting
So
himself a sandwich.
Let me
He's got to
cluster
visit-
you all so I can copy your
He's gone to
tokens.
visit Ensign Curse. Oh, she's no longer there. You took her away from the conference room. No.
Now, one
Andrews and
thing...
his Valakai has only just noticed Kirsten's gone down to the medical centre.
One thing that's going to be plainly obvious is the fact that, which Natala can tell you from taking scans of the planet from orbit, is that there's a pretty bad sandstorm going on right now, which is probably being exacerbated by the current seismic activity. So, chances are good you're going to need EV suits. So, if we remember where to find the equipment, if you go to the items directory, everyone remember where that is?
Suitcase, isn't it?
A suitcase, yes. And character equipment, you should find stuff you need in there. Now, because this is an emergency evacuation, you should take stuff in relation to that. Anything extra on that, if it has escalation cost, or opportunity cost, I should, not escalation. If you're taking escalation stuff, then wow. No, opportunity, anything that isn't needed for a rescue operation and the item has an opportunity cost, that will cost you momentum of the same level. To take.
Pattern enhancers.
And grab sleds.
Yeah. Pattern enhancers in case this interference kicks in.
John?
I was just wondering whether pattern enhancers are worth it in this case.
I think it may be worth it.
Combination with an emergency transponder, maybe.
We're doing a mass evacuation of as many people as possible. Whatever we can do to make it quicker to get signals, to get patterns sorted out is a good plan.
Well, the worst thing is that you send all of the research equipment via transporter, because yes, the transporters are difficult. We may lose some of the pattern, but we won't turn people into soup.
Is it 3 cost for 3 enhancers?
No, if you think pattern enhancers are going to be needed in case of an emergency, then a case can be made for the pattern enhancers not needing to pay the opportunity cost.
Emergency. I'd say it's we're doing an evacuation. We want to make it as quick as possible for as many people as possible. So, setting up a permanent transporter pad with enhancers at the other end, where necessary, just gives us. It sounds like the sort of thing you'd expect.
If we were going to do that, I would suggest also we might need another more specific probe for trying to figure out what really exists to become something.
Okay, so do we have anything in that kind of thing?
That's starting to sound like Natala needs to stay on board to try and figure out what's going on with this.
Well, not necessarily. If you've got, you can alter tricorders to scan, of course. So.
That's fine. And we've got loads of data. We've got runabouts going backwards and forwards. We've got a shot we've got.
Yeah, indeed. So, while you guys are busy being kitted up...
Basically, we don't start transporting people until we've got enough data from the various things scanning back and forth as they fly.
Yeah, that makes sense. So when you know it's safe, you can start using it as an emergency in case of. You can start using it.
Shipping up equipment.
Well, you'll have to probably pass that by the scientists on the ground. See what they say in that regard. Okie dokie. Has everybody got the kind of equipment they think they need to take?
Yep, I'm taking various doses of the different types of moss and fungi. It wouldn't be the first time that we were caught with our technology betraying us.
Anybody else not done with grabbing tech yet?
Are we spending for items? Because the anti-grav sled, are we including that as essential for
The anti-grav sled makes sense since you're trying to pack stuff onto onto a runabout or a shuttle, so the anti-grav sled, you won't have to pay the cost for that. No, that makes sense. If, however, you decided to start taking Mark III phasers, I might ask for the opportunity cost.
I always have a Type 3 phaser in my inventory.
Well, yeah, and you get that as for free, but if you were packing those phasers for everybody, then yeah.
We could just vaporize everything down there, and then it has to take my gun.
That is what quantum torpedoes are.
Didn't quite catch that, Shaun, but was that you were taking your universal interface?
Yes, please. And
that's fine.
To the H31L0.
Yep. Okay. I'm fine with that. He gets his own little carry case. I say
Can we take a plasma torch?
The justification in case you need to cut through things?
Yes, because the crust is unstable, so they could be
things
like earthquakes.
Yeah, I'm fine with that. That's fine. In case you need to cut somebody out from underneath something, you take a plasma torch. Yes, makes sense to me. Let's forget the fact that it's probably that Cabal wants to carve his initials and things, but... I jest. Or do I?
Dun, dun, dun.
Alright. Anything else folks want to take? Okay. So, before I move us on to the next bit, has everybody finished putting equipment on their characters?
Yes.
Do we want to take a chronometer?
Take a chronometer?
Just in
Yeah.
case. Yeah. case there's any kind of like barometric distortions that's affecting because we know roughly, we can estimate how long we reckon we've got on the planet, and if we start getting temporal anomalies.
Yeah, so you've got a countdown watch if you need it. I'm fine with that. Yep, that's fine with me as well.
Do you want to issue additional medical, emergency medical, or we don't know that there's going to be any problems in that regard. So it might be okay with just what we've got.
Yeah.
I'd say that with Edward's being assigned, Edwards takes the medical back with him as well.
Yep, so Edwards can very well take a medical field kit. So let's see. What do you usually have? What's part of the... So you don't need the emergency surgical kit. What you want is the... You know what? Let's go to Bertram's equipment list to see what he's got. Medkit. There it is. Medikit. Where did I put the medikit? You'd think I'd have put it under the... I did not. Okay, so... Let's just see what we got for that. Medikit comes back with just that as one item. Okay, cool. You got your trilaser connector, you got your hyperspace, you got your dermal regenerator, you got an earcom component. Okay, so Edwards should really have... Let's see, we're going to want the dermal regenerator.
Oh yeah, you actually giving him medical supplies. Okay.
Ooh,
You are Nurse Edwards.
dermal regenerator, terminal scanner.
I didn't actually thought I'd just be following along the doctor's example, or just generally being an assistant. Okay. Fair enough.
So the kind of things you'll want. Let's see, you can't carry a biobed with you, so...
You can. Try harder.
Cardius.
Trying to get more things off the planet than we take down.
Yeah, let's take away the cardio stipulator, that's a bit advanced. Dermal regenerator.
Hypo spray.
Hypo spray, yep, put that in there. Do you want me to do that?
The medical pack, I've got it in there.
There we are, okay, cool.
And then the medical tricorder.
Yes, so your
phaser.
tricorder...
It's not actually in the medical list.
Yeah, so tricorder is assumed, but where is the medical scanner for the tricorder?
Medical monitoring device.
Yeah. Medical monitoring device, there it is.
Got it.
So that's the attachment for the medical tricorder. There we go. Marvellous.
Force field is at full strength.
Thank you, Siri. Right. Last call. Anything else? Marvellous. Then in that case, everyone gets to the runabouts, which have been cleared of any space they need to make. Only the stuff you need to take with you is piled on board. You're taking both runabouts down. And so, yes, travelling down to the surface. You've got maximum momentum, you've got no need to make checks, and the flight down is bumpy because of the storm, but the science team on the surface have done what needs to be done. They've activated the landing beacons, so the path to the surface is well illuminated and indicated from orbit, so you have no trouble getting down onto the surface. Try not to scratch my runabouts, please. Yes, indeed. So let's move us to the surface. So the surface of Ceti Alpha V is pretty much as you imagine. It is one massive sandstorm.
Why are they Jenny clones? Jenny clones.
What was that, sorry? Oh,
Jenny
yeah.
clones.
So you've just got, when you land on one of the available pads of which there are only a smattering few because this is a temporary camp. Apparently there are mostly archaeologists, but they are also a couple of people who are studying this place as an example of what happens to a planet when a major extinction event goes off. So there are a lot of temporary structures, which is good for the evacuation process because it means that they should be easy to take down. The atmosphere...
I'd say the last thing equipment.
Yeah.
Structures that need to be leave them.
But just looking out of the runabout view screen, you see almost nothing but sand blasting the outside. It looks like a really inhospitable environment, so the EV suits are going to be a must. So, you guys kit yourselves out. Of course, you've got Natala, who's an expert in EV suit and maintenance. Natala, you do not envy the poor ensigns who are going to have to clean out the filtration systems of these EV suits once you are done. So, that's So, you all step out onto the surface of Ceti Alpha V from your runabout. You find the place, they've already started trying to pile up crates and boxes of stuff next to the landing pads. There's one Starfleet officer wearing his everyone else you see are wearing their EV suits, but this guy seems to be wearing the colours of operations and is carrying a Type 3 phaser. Just seems to be covering you guys as you exit. When you do get out, he kind of waves over to you and asks you to hold on while he signals his superior, who comes running over from one of the other tents as he's trying to organize the evacuation. So.
Greetings, sir. I'm Lieutenant Saban. Thank you for coming so quickly.
Not a problem, Lieutenant. Can you please provide a situational rundown of the current planetary evacuation procedure?
Of course, sir. We've been proceeding with the evacuation, well, as quick as we can, as these seismic disturbances are becoming more and more pronounced. Have been for the last couple of weeks. In fact, they started about 7 months ago, but they've been growing steadily in severity ever since. It's gotten to the point where it's no longer safe for my personnel to still be on the planet, so we need to evacuate everyone and everything we've got. I sent the word out to all the various teams that were out further in the field to recall back. So far, so good. Most of the teams are on their way back.
You said most. Does that mean that there is some that are still not on their way back?
At least 2 teams were still a couple of kilometers away, investigating various sites of interest. We put up the recall, but recently we've been having certain problems with our communications. So, when you arrived, I was trying to boost the communications capacity of the equipment, but we've only got limited capabilities here. Hopefully someone of... well, hopefully you can help with that.
Nova Vibers, do you want to see if you can tie in the planetary system to link up to the Navis computers? So the Navis can act as a transmission.
Decommissioning the planetary system. You on standard Starfleet frequencies, or you've got your own?
We're using standard Starfleet frequencies, thank you, sir.
Right, we'll get the runabout, to relay the signals and playing up and down the equipment. That will give us more reach than anything else for now.
That'd be much appreciated, sir. The sooner we can get everybody on board the ships and off the surface, the better.
It's better off not rapidly trying to take everyone down.
Okay, it's at that point that... Let's see. You hear a scream from somewhere nearby. And Lieutenant Saban looks rather alarmed.
Something's happening. Hold on, sirs.
As he goes off to try and check with one of his security folks. It's then
We start scanning for anomalies.
that you hear, as you do, you start hearing this blood-curdling screeching sound as creatures start burrowing up from this underneath the sand. And you hear from over the comms in the suits,
It's the eels! They're back!
so I am gonna have to throw everybody's into initiatives. So let's see who we got. We got Edwards, we got Natala, we got Andrews, we got Aslan, we got Nova, Bertram, Vibers. We want Bugs. We'll leave the rest to operate at the end of the initiative step. So, let's see. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 folks. Who of you guys wants to go first?
I could potentially do some kind of scan to help you figure out what to aim at.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So that's going to make you number 8. Which means the eels go next, unless somebody wants to spend momentum on maintaining the initiative.
Quick thing, I'm not hearing any background music. I also realise we don't have Sirenscape.
Oh, I do beg your pardon. Did I not post the link? The link should be the same as it's always been, but I'll post it anyway just to make sure.
Given we're at maximum momentum and we're being swarmed, it's probably a good idea for us to spend that point.
So we don't need to. We don't need to.
Don't you?
Yeah, we have Andrews with us.
Ah, right.
Quick to action. During the first round of any combat, you or your allies make an normal cost to retain the initiative.
So we're going to throw Andrews there then. Is Andrews maintaining the initiative, or does it mean that Andrews keeps the initiative, or is it anyone? During the first round, you and your allies may ignore the normal cost of retaining the initiative. So, yeah, you guys can all go before the eels if you want.
Yep.
So I'm going to put that as number 1. So who wants to go in? Who wants to go in which order, or is that order okay? Well, I'll put everyone in this order then. 6. Let's put Nova next at 5. Then Fibers. Then Edwards. Then Bertram. Right. Is that order okay with folks?
It's okay with me.
Let's start things off then. Natala.
Is it possible for me to scan either with the way the sand and people work with phasers, just to try to create an advantage for some people to aiming at these things?
Well, yeah, you can create an advantage by spending 2 momentum and, well, telling me what you want the advantage to be. And it will apply.
Does that sound like something that's worth doing?
What do other people think? Creating an advantage?
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah.
Okay, so John, phrase for me exactly what you want the advantage to be.
That people will not be hampered at aiming at these things as they emerge from the sands.
Okay, so enemies easier to target, let's say. Okay, I'll put that there for us to remember, and that'll cost you 2 momentum. But as a result, yes, Natala gets on the tricorder and activates a active sensor ping that then gets broadcast through every nearby person's EV suits, so that the onboard heads-up display of your EV suits compensates for the bad weather and goes off of Natala's tricorder readings to get a more active target, allow active targeting of these creatures as they're coming up out of the sand. Nice, I like it. Let's keep that there where I can get at it. Let me actually put it there so I can see it easier because it disappears a little bit in the sand. There we are. Cool. Does Natala want to move herself to anywhere, or is she right where she is currently?
Fall back to this tables here.
Okay, cool. Nice. Alright, moving on. Andrews' turn. What would Andrews like to do?
I would probably say that we go shooty on heels.
Yes.
Side you.
So these creatures are a horrible combination of what looks like an earth armadillo with these nasty pincer-like mouths. They've got these segmented bodies that allow them to burrow through the sand very, very easily. But it seems that when they emerge from the ground, they emit these horrible squealing sounds, which have a very definite psychological effect on everybody hearing them. But yes, they are very much aggressive, and the people here on the planet seem to be actively afraid of them, even though they've got EV suits on. So yes, you can take an action to shooty bang bang fire. So that's going to be.
Oh, God.
Ooh, okay. So you gotta hit.
So you shoot your foot?
Let's see.
He says hopefully.
Complication. Okie dokie do. So what happens is I will ask you to roll phaser damage, please. 5 successes, and you haven't had the time to. You haven't had the time to actually. What's the word? Charge. Set the charge to your thing, so it's just going to be what it is. Accurate means that you will get it easier to hit, but you got that anyway. So you actually got 1 success over what you needed to hit, thanks to. Also, thanks to the advantage that you got. So you actually got 2 over and above what you needed. So what you can do is you can put those 2 momentum into the momentum pool, or you can spend them on 2 extra damage dice.
Yeah, I'll split it. Do 1 and 1.
1 and 1. So roll an extra d6 for me and put 1 of the momentum back. Nice, so that's a 2, which means you did get 2. So you actually got 7 successes and 2 effects. The effects don't really matter, but what you got 7. So you let off a shot, managed to catch one of the creatures, but unfortunately, it seems in bringing out the phaser, you got some of the sand in it, which gums up the workings. So your phaser is now essentially jammed until somebody can not clear the mechanism, but reset it. Fazanan.
I think I shall engage in close combat.
Okie dokie.
Can I?
You can definitely cross the distance to the nearest one. Any of the groups or places are traversable too in one quick action. Roll combo!
I think I'll just finish it.
That's fine. So this is going to be daring and security. Because they're easier to target, the difficulty is going to be 0. Actually, no, it's going to be between you and it, isn't it? Between you and the creature. So obviously you have Natala's advantage to go from, so 2 successes becomes 1 success for you to hit it. So you got your hit. So ordinarily, if it wasn't for Natala's advantage, you would have come out the worst. So that was 1 success each. I'm going to say that kind of fight to a no-score draw there. As Fazanan comes down, the eel opens up its jaws and catches the Ushantor in its grip, and the grip is surprisingly strong. Caval is able to wrench his Ushantor free of the creature's grip, but now you're kind of getting an idea as to why the science team here are afraid of these things, because the amount of grip strength that thing had, it probably, if it wanted to, could chew its way through an EV suit.
I was been saying that without actually having myself tagged in.
Oh. Sorry, what were you saying, Alexa?
No. In there we go. That's what I wanted.
Indeed, you do. Very astute observation. Well, Caval did a quick and a slow action, so that's all Caval can do for now. Nova definitely getting the empathic sense of folks being very afraid around here of these things. But yes, Nova's also getting the panic and fear over the fact that there are now clusters of scientists with these things appearing out of the ground next to them. So like I said with Jan's turn, where you are is technically a zone. You can traverse to one of the other clusters of tents with 1 quick action.
Head up into the top right-hand corner because that looks really nice.
Yeah. Can you move your token where you want them to go? Yep, you can make that.
I think she's just gonna typical Nova into this situation and just literally run up and try and punt this thing back.
Gonna do a running soccer kick.
Yeah.
Okay. So that's daring and security, please. And just as before, you get Natala's advantage.
Just as an aside, I can't use weapons. Tiny human.
So the eel got no successes, did not see Nova coming. Nova got no successes. But in that regard, yeah, that's another no-score draw, as it were. So Nova succeeds in kicking up a whole tuft of sand, but as soon as the puff of sand clears, the eel is still there.
Yeah, as Shaun just said, does the advantage fire?
That's an interesting one, because you got 0 successes.
Wasn't it?
Nova said she was going to punt it, so I'll go with, yeah, give me an unarmed strike, since you technically succeed on -1. So. Give me an unarmed strike. There was an effect, so yeah, I will say that as well as doing 3, the effect causes what you wanted. You actually punt the thing a distance. The interesting thing is, it doesn't. It almost curls into a ball as you kick it, so that when it lands, it unfurls and is back on its. Well, you're not sure it's got feet. In fact, you're pretty certain you didn't see any feet while it was corkscrewing through the corkscrewing.
Well, I'm graboids.
Yeah. Right, so I'm going to move on to fibers.
Darius, did you actually see the message?
I'm guessing no. So,
Okay.
Vibers received a message from Edwards asking if there was anything that could make a loud noise, since he thinks it's possible these things hunt by sound, maybe?
Well, from what we can see from the closest one, unless you're gonna make me want to roll for it, there is no eyes on it that can be visible. Well, no eyes that are visible.
They do have eyes, as it turns out. It's along the sides of their head, just behind the massive jaws.
Is there as an aside, obviously, because of the prolific effect that the eels had on the crew, give off in the house.
Can I get you to be a little closer to your mic? Sorry, Webby, I'm having trouble hearing you.
General thinking, something that kind of like digs through this kind of earth and burrows, it's going to be some sort of vibration sense.
Anyway, going back to, as I said, the records of the Reliant and what happened to several of the crew on this, surely there would have been a further study on them. So was there anything to pull up the data banks on the ship?
Yeah, if you shout out loud and ask, or if you'd have appraised yourself. Let's assume that Andrew's had the wherewithal to actually have a look at what can be expected when you go down to Ceti Alpha V. These Ceti eels are the only known life form indigenous to the planet that survived the catastrophic event, probably because they are desert dwellers. What's known about them, besides the fact that they tend to implant their young in any organic host they can find, they do this by having a paralytic agent in their bite. So if they bite you and get through your suit, they'll be able to inject their paralytic toxin into your system, which will enable them to then maybe try and lay their young in the paralyzed person. And yes, it's been theorized that because they are very good burrowing animals, they probably have a keen tremor sense that goes with them. So that's what you remember. So what does Vibers want to do?
What Vibers is going to do at this point is, we're in combat surrounded by horrible nasties.
Probably shoot something. All right.
What sort of range are we talking about with the...
If you can see it, you can shoot it, basically. Got a pretty good range on these weapons. Obviously, the smaller the weapon, the lower, but you've got a Type 2, so that's got a pretty decent range. You can fire at anything within the next zone. So it's going to be, control plus security, usually difficulty 2, but it's down to 1 thanks to Natala. Success, get what you need. So, that's spot on what you needed, so if you can roll the damage for the Type 2 phaser. I've lost connection to the server, attempting to re-establish.
5 successes, not bad.
Okay, it's 5 successes and an effect. Now, because you haven't tuned the phaser to anything, the effect is pretty much nothing. Because you and charge it, but the 5 successes, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, do damage the creature. Nicely done. Do you want to move anywhere? Move can take you anywhere within one of the next zones, which is any of the nearby clusters of tents. Okay. Alright then, that's all Vibers can do. Now we're on to Edwards.
As it's been confirmed that they do have sort of a tremor sense, or vibration sense, Ed, I'd like to see if he could potentially overload his comm badge just to basically list out a high-pitched frequency and literally just lob it away from people. Just to try and either scare them or at least attract them away, just to try and pull them away from the majority of the panicking people.
I like that.
Sadly, the most logical place is going to be towards the other end of the ship, which would mean potentially closer to us, but that would get them away from everyone else at the risk of to ourselves.
Okay. So, I am going to go with... This is going to be... This is going to be daring and engineering for you, because you're going to be trying something on the fly. So...
focus on communications?
Yes, absolutely.
And may I grab a momentum?
I hear no objection, so let's go with probably yes. Two successes, that was bang on what I thought you needed to do it. Okay, cool. So, yeah, you've got your EV suit on, so technically you have to pull the comms unit out of your EV suit, which will render Edwards unable to communicate with anybody else for the duration. But, yeah, he basically rips out the communication part of his suit, puts it through to its own internal power source and sets it off to emit a very loud and constant noise and lobs it. Now,
it's to hit sand, I should say, rather than it can't anything physical, else it won't really work.
Do you want it to be, I don't know if you can see that, I've just drawn a circle by there.
Yeah, that would be perfectly reasonable. So that's
awesome.
Away from everyone, all the major groups of people, apart from us.
So that, if anything, will buy everybody some time. So that was good thinking, I like that. Excuse me. So does Edwards want to move anywhere now that he's done that?
No, because any further running around might be detriment to the fact of what he's just done.
You could use your quick action then to charge your laser.
Yeah.
There's a reason why he was making the stun gun.
He's not very good with it. That's fair. That's
oh no, it's less good with it. He doesn't like doing it. He's not. He doesn't want. He's just. He's not. Alright. He's not non-violent, but he doesn't want to. Living things are his limit. He'll shoot those mechanical droids from before, but living things is a bit more squeamish about actually harming, as he has to.
Okay, that's fine. That's Edwards' philosophical choice. Alright then, if you're done, then let's move you on to Bertram.
So I'll take a shot at the one that Vibers hit and hope I manage to get that one.
Okay, once again, the difficulty is just 1, thanks to Natala's advantage. And you are doing control plus security. If you want to use your quick action to charge your phaser, using the prepare minor action, you may add one of the following effects to it: area, intense, piercing 2, or vicious 1. Piercing is useless. These things don't appear to have any kind of resistance to the energy levels.
Right.
Vicious will add an extra point of damage for every effect you do. What's intense? Intense is designed to inflict massive harm. The cost to avoid an injury is greater, so that's useless. An area affects everything within an area, and being that's fairly indiscriminate. So Your best bet's
Yeah,
probably
I'm
gonna
not going to be
vicious.
able to do that without hitting people, so yeah, I'll go for vicious.
Cool. So, if you can give me that control plus security check. Difficulty 1. 2 successes, 1 over and above what you need. So, like I told Webby before, if you can either bank that success to the momentum, or you can hold on to it and do roll an extra die for damage.
I'll roll an extra die for damage because I've only got a side point.
Okay, so yeah, when you come to rolling damage, it should say number of dice in the dice pool 4. You can change that to 5.
Okay.
And I forgot to do something. There we are. Whee whiz! Right, there was an effect and you got 5 successes because you choose vicious. That means you've got 6 successes overall, which means that is 1 downed eel as it is vaporized. 1 down.
Well,
nice.
Bertram's thing is these are a danger to the people, and his first priority here is the physical well-being of the people.
Did. And as such, you've accomplished that by killing one of the Ceti eels.
Yeah.
Okay, Bertram can do nothing else. So now it's the eel's turn. Now, thanks to what Edwards has just done, you've changed what I was going to do entirely. So let's see. The eels start congregating rather than congregating, because that would just be disturbing to see.
Oh no, it's something big and explosive.
Like putting an area effect on a weapon. So they're all going to start congregating around here.
It's smarter, I would put it under the thrusters and just told Cabal to lift it up.
So thankfully these people are now no longer... Let's see, they're in that area, they can make it to... They can go diagonal, they can make it to this area. So thanks to what Edwards proposed, you're now seeing a whole flock of these things, if flock is indeed the right word. A terror of Ceti eels.
An abomination of Ceti eels.
And we could potentially do it again to keep the effect, so I imagine Vibers could probably recreate the same thing.
Okay. So they've all chosen, the eels have all chosen to move themselves in this direction. So Natala's very close to some of them, and part of her scientific mind is there looking at these things going, wow, fascinating. The other side is very much a case of, on the other hand, horrible, horrible Ceti eels. So now the eels are kind of confused around here, wondering what to do next, which means you have bought yourself some time. Now, this is where, on the second round, things are going to go to what they should have been, unless somebody wants to spend 2 momentum on maintaining the initiative. So, do you want to spend 2 momentum to maintain the initiative so that you stay ahead of the Ceti eels? Or are you alright to have somebody act and then have the Ceti eels go next?
I'd probably be spending it.
Spend it to keep the initiative. If not, that's a wave of eels that are probably going to go towards the nearest living things.
Yeah.
Meaning us.
John, sounds like you were going to say something. Do you concur?
Yeah, I was about to.
Okay, cool. So, I will take 2 momentum, and you guys can keep the initiative, and you can keep that initiative order as well, unless you want to monkey it around. Everyone alright with that order, or do you want to keep it that way?
I'm good with the order.
Okay, which means Natala goes first. Well, you created an advantage to make them easier to detect. It seems that Edwards has done something to distract them to that specific area, so what would you like to do now?
Is it worth my simply charging the area and hitting the ones that are already there?
Could be.
Or should we do it? Yeah?
Yeah, that one right in front of you.
I'm trusting everybody else to deal with that one. So instead of aiming at the cluster.
Cabal hit him with the pointy end.
The attack affects a wider area and can affect several targets at once. The attack automatically affects any character or damageable object within reach of the initial target. And yours was yellow, which means you targeted that one, so you're within reach of that. And then one additional target within close range of the initial target for each effect rolled. Okay, so we will take, if I can find myself a neat little, there we are. So we'll take the initial blast radius to be those guys. Any effect you roll on the damage will include another target outside of that area. However, if you roll complications during the attack, well, unfortunately there's a warp nacelle quite close to it, so we'll see what happens. But
let's scratch the ship.
Your previous advantage of making them easy to target still applies, so this is still going to be a difficulty 1 attack with a phaser.
Now, could I potentially use my focus on EVA suits for not being distracted by, our current conditions?
I will go with, yeah, alright, I'll take that as a justification. Using the EV suits to your best advantage to, aid your attack. I'm good with that. So that's 1 over and above what you needed, so once again, you can either add that extra 1 straight to the momentum pool or add it to the damage dealt.
I think we'll need the damage in this instance.
Cool. So, same as with the others, when it asks for how many dice, add 1 to it, and we'll go from there. So, if you hover over the icon for the phaser, it'll turn into a dice. That's what you've got to roll.
So,
that's what you've got to press.
Am I adding to the number, so it says 5, so do I make it a 6 now?
Yes, indeed. Yep. Change it to a 6 now, and then press OK. Wow, 7 successes and 2 effects. Ooh. So which means that expands to include 2 extra targets, which will be the 2 closer ones. So you effectively hit all of those for 7. Reducing that one to 1. Reducing that one to nothing, so he's gone. To 1. That. Come on, fingers. Fingers aren't working. It's cold, all right. My fingers are cold. That one will be caught up in that and take more than it's got stress to deal with, so that one is gone. And that extra one also takes 7. So yeah, Natala reconfigures her phase to fire a wide beam which engulfs a good many of them. Takes out a pair, leaves the others rather injured. Nice. Very, very nice. Doesn't it? Natala can't move because she's already used her quick action to change the setting of the phaser. So, that was brilliant. We'll move on to Andrews. So, there's only a smattering of them left. There's a lot of them looking worse for wear, but there's one that's... one that's
taking someone to bed.
Pale and hearty. Shall we move from Andrews then to Cavall, so that Cavall can work his magic? We'll come back to Andrews when he's back.
Think about one, we've got a biological sample to see if there's anything weird going on with it.
Well, he's...
Well,
go on.
Like available, I think, run in and attack this.
Yep. Nice. So that's going to be a daring and security check from both parties. But Natala's advantage still exists. I got nothing. So it's all down to 2 successes, so there you go. You can add both of those to damage if you want.
Damage it is.
So you broke up a bit there, Jan. What was that? Yeah, you did.
Damage
you did
it is.
Damage it is.
And,
3
front
effects,
door is,
which means...
vicious.
Ooh, so that means you got 3 extra damage, which means, yeah, you ripped the thing apart. split it right down the middle. So if Edward wanted a sample, he's now got a perfectly bisected example of the species. As Caval just, tears it in half. Nice. So let's go to Nova. Nova's all the way up here and was assuring folks that they're here to protect them, which they have so far done. So, Nova, all the way up there. The eels have moved very much down there. You can cross to... well, or you can take a shot from there. What would Nova like to do?
If I can reach that, I'll try and score a field goal over the ship.
Okay. She's gonna run up and boot it.
Run up and boot it. So once again, same as before, daring and security. I am... oh, I'm getting one success. Ooh. 0 successes, so that's a no-score draw. So this time, as Nova takes a massive run up to boot this one, it kind of turns around. She kicks a load of sand up. The creature goes to nip at her boot, but doesn't manage to latch. So they're both just there glaring at each other. Fibers.
Fibers.
Okay.
You can go for a broad area again.
Do you want...
If I go for a broad area from where I'm standing,
Yep.
Nova's dead. And so is Natala.
Well, you know, if you aim for that small cluster of them, if you roll a complication, you'll get Nova, certainly.
Can I move first?
Yeah. But if you move, you won't be able to recalibrate your phaser.
I'll stay where I was then. And let's try and do a broad swing.
We have a doctor with us.
It's fine.
I've got steady hands.
Yes, you do.
That counts as determination.
If you want to use determination as a means of ensuring that you don't hit your friends, then I am happy for you to spend a point of determination. So remember, when you do this control plus security check, to remember to add the fact that you're using determination. So you've automatically got 2 successes right there.
Do I have to put the dice?
I can't hear you, sorry, Davis.
Does he have to bump the dice up for that?
Can't remember, you knock the dice into 3 when you go determination.
You shouldn't have to. It should ask. When you make a control and security check, it'll ask you to check a box. So that 1 is just as well that you did, because otherwise you'd have missed. That was a close one, actually. So now I want you to... so you've got 1 extra success, so like you've done with the others, you can either bank that, or you can put it into dealing extra damage.
Let's do extra damage.
So click on the icon for the Type 2 phaser, it'll say you've got 4, you should actually change to 5. You did 7 successes and an effect, which means you can catch the one next to Nova, and you basically obliterate them all. Nicely done. So, as the Ceti eel that Nova kicked kind of backs itself off and raises itself up and hisses at Nova, it's then engulfed in a massive wave of phaser energy and just burns to a crisp. So, yeah, Nova got the last word, didn't they?
Nova wasn't phased.
Technical foul, Ballbrook. I like it. Wow, well done. Yep, so combat is ended.
Oh, I got back just in time.
You did. You managed to see Vibers took out the rest after Nova tried to punt kick one. Yes. Lieutenant Saban comes back.
Well, thank you, all of you. Those creatures have become increasing problems ever since the tectonic instability started. We've been getting regular attacks from these eels. It's almost as if the seismic disruptions are, I don't know, driving them crazy or something. Ordinarily, we'd set up camp away from where these things are known to have their habitats, but recently it's been difficult to get away from them, which is another reason for why we've been asking to get evacuated from the settlement. I'm afraid I have some news as well. Whilst you were busy taking on the eels, and thank you so much for that, I'm afraid we have a problem. One of my teams, an expeditionary crew, they were last seen heading out towards a rock formation a couple of kilometers to the northeast of here. We haven't heard back from them. I was wondering, Commander, if I might implore you to go after them. They're the only ones who haven't returned.
What were they investigating?
Well, the last communication they sent, it seemed to indicate that they were investigating some kind of subterranean formation that sparked their interest. I believe they were using one of the old camps as a way station. So you can probably use that as a reference point. It's the reference point is the old Botany Bay station.
I assume that is the sandstorm bad enough that we now can't get comms with the Navis?
The sandstorm isn't so bad that you can't report to the Navis.
I would recommend that the Navis sends down another shuttle, and we will take a shuttle to that location.
You're going to take a shuttle to that location.
So we can continue using the...
Edwards can't hear anything, can he? Because he doesn't have his internal communicator anymore.
Exactly, so Edwards is kind of like, what?
It's gonna need a new suit.
I kind of tore up my unit and threw it over there.
Matt,
So, yes.
there's a body that wasn't fried, the one that Caval sliced.
Bisected, yes.
Yes.
I want to start taking scans of that. The reason being, I want to upload that data to the shuttles and runabouts, etc., so that when we start using them, we can try and make sure that we don't actually take any of these with us if they end up sneaking on the shotcrafts or any of the equipment that we take, because that is a surprise I feel we could do without.
Yes, indeed. You're most
Also,
welcome, Doctor, yes.
As I mentioned earlier, was Edwards like to scan to see if there's anything that might have affected them to cause them to be like this, any kind of environmental or chemical, just something that's not natural, basically. So they might have ingested or been exposed to.
I would like you, in that case, to give me a control and medicine check, please. I'm going to make this difficulty 1.
Is that just him, or do you want me to do it while I'm standing as well?
Right.
Every time I've got something to roll a medicine, I've had a complication. I think this is a sign that I should never be near medbay.
Yeah. Okay. So everybody sees Edwards, who is, maybe muttering to himself. If he's saying anything, everybody can just see Edwards' mouth moving in his suit, but can't hear anything. So It's almost comical, but he does kind of kneel down next to the bisected sample of the creature that Cavall
Oh, it's going to bite me, isn't it?
And has a poke around in it. And well, I can't say it bites you because Cavall dealt it such a grievous injury that he split it in two, so it won't be able to. Let me think. You can find. You could. You can. Sorry, I'm interrupting you, John. Sorry, go ahead.
I was thinking if these mandibles have got that kind of force behind them, they could be dangerous even without having any pressure.
Yeah, there's that, but I'm going to go out and say that it's the mandibles' lethality comes from the crush strength of both of them snapping shut. And I kind of envisaged, and if I didn't make that clear, then that's my fault, I'm sorry. I kind of pictured in my brain that Cavall cut it neatly down the middle, so it's in now two perfect halves.
Ah, okay. I was thinking it was like top half with head, bottom half with
no.
not.
So that you've got now a perfect cross section of this creature. Yeah, Edwards. You're new to the medical field, but of course you've got a medical tricorder, so you're going to use that to the best of your ability to make up for your lack of medical, biological knowledge. You give it a scan, and what you get back is a load of data about the fact that the thing is an obvious carnivore. It has plates on its back which have got muscular. It's got a great deal of muscular control over, which is how it moves around so fast. It's got nerve fibers that link to these plates, which is probably how it can sense things in the ground. Other than that, you've got no clue.
Make his scans.
If you want to.
Do I need to roll, or...?
Well, you are down to 2 momentum, so if you want to make up for a shortfall, then absolutely you can.
Okay, I'll try.
Control and
medicine,
medicines to use this, right?
Okay.
Yes.
Can I use xenobiology as a focus?
Absolutely you can.
3 successes.
3 successes. You've got 2 over what you need, so that's 2 back in the bank.
Yeah.
Alright. Bertram, seeing what Edwards was trying, Edwards just kind of ends up looking down at his tricorder. He mouths a couple of things, forgetting that he's still got no comms. So Bertram just goes, you know what, I'll do this myself, and kneels down and scans it himself. What you discover is that, yes, this creature is a typical example of a burrowing life form. Sensitive to its surroundings via sense plates in its outer chitinous plates, which it can move in order to move so quickly into the ground. The amount of sensitivity this thing has for sensing movement in its surroundings is quite high. So if there's been, as has been stated by Lieutenant Saban, a very frequent seismic disturbance, that would probably drive these things nuts, because then everything is vibrating. So the increased aggression from the creatures could very well be from the fact that they've all got permanent headaches and are constantly grumpy, but also because everything is shaking, so it gives them the false sense that everything could be a potential prey.
Yeah.
So it's driving them into almost like a hyper state of hunting instinct.
Oh, great. So they're going to be extra aggressive.
Preempting the possibility that the subterranean structure that they keep investigating is one something similar. Is there anything we should do in terms of scanning the various energies that we're at this point fairly familiar with.
No harm in doing so.
Yeah. Commander, if you'll give me a few minutes, I'm going to upload the data again from this to the shuttlecraft sensors. I want to make sure that we don't end up taking any of these with us anywhere.
I still no issue against that.
Okay.
Very
Okay.
good point.
But all the information I got from scanning I've shared with the group. I hope you were listening very carefully, Edwards.
Should we actually look at fixing his EVA suit?
There's probably, as people here that know that things can pierce EVA suits, presumably that means that there's some damaged EVA suits around that you can get parts from.
Good point. The problem with trying to use replicators is that most of the equipment has now been turned off, ready to be moved. But, as has been pointed out, there's probably spare parts lying around. So, again, it's up to you if you want to make a check in order to gain some momentum back, or if you're happy with just assuming, since it was a simple thing, a relatively simple thing anyway, so that Vipers has the wherewithal, the knowledge to fix the EVA suit if he wants to.
As a secondary thought for when you do eventually, if I should say you eventually able to fix Edwards one, Edwards would probably volunteer. If we've got other broken suits, we'd be able to cannibalize them to make more of those things. To if we come across them again, just to like what he did, basically just to attract them away, lures. That's it. Out of them.
I like that. Okay. Yeah, if you want to start making some interesting lures, that will be a check. What was that, Davis?
I'll let you finish.
Well, that was basically it.
Natala, do we have any spare suits that we've got about?
Narrowly, there would be just enough for. Oh, we all packed our own for the away team, and then there'd ordinarily be 2 on the runabouts.
So that, or if we're just going to rely on the communications of the EVA suits, do we all have our own comm badges? We potentially do the same thing with them.
Can do. I'm going to start focusing on getting this runabout loaded up with cargo and people and off the ground.
Certainly.
Because we've got the next two. Someone else do that. I need to go take some equipment down.
Obviously, with commanding officer's permission to make these, this in case they come back. In this case, the problem.
I missed what it actually was that you were.
So, whilst you were away, you missed an awesome piece of ingenuity from Ensign Edwards, where he basically ripped out the comm system of his EV suit and used it to create a constant noise that attracted the Ceti eels to congregate in one area, which allowed people to blast them as a group.
Hold them away from the staff and basically kept them safe, at least until we could deal with them.
Yeah, sounds like a plan. I think it was worthwhile.
Okay, so whoever wants to start cannibalizing
suits. On making a load of them.
No, it'd be like about a couple at most, I'd say.
Yeah, I'd say as soon as the shuttle lands from the Navis, I think we are going, and that I'd say is that the crew here will continue loading essential items first.
Would it be staff first?
Yeah, essential equipment and non-essential personnel.
Okay, so yep, the Navis can receive a message that it's time to start sending down the shuttles.
Do you want me to roll, or just let me build them as I made the roll before?
You have 6 shuttles and 2 runabouts, so you've got quite a good excuse me, quite a good flight of shuttles available. So you you can take one of them. And yes, I will be asking for a check to see how well you make this load of new lures. Anybody going to assist? Going once, going twice. Okay.
Just largely busy.
Vibers is off hacking equipment now.
Control plus engineering.
And hello again, suitable substrate. Roll against engineering, yes please.
Is it control or engineering rolls, or would it be insight? For reason. Actually, no, I did daring, didn't I, last time?
You did do
But-
daring last time, but because you know what you're doing now, I am going to allow reason and engineering to happen, since you're building on what you did previously. I'm going to make it difficulty 1, again, because you've done it previously. Yeah, cannibalizing parts and making lures.
Focus of communications again?
Yeah. I'm fine with that. 1 success, so you got only as many as you needed to make. So you made about 2.
Yep. But happy with that, because any more times it was pointed out would be a bit more wasted when there's other things to do.
So, Bertram has configured the sensors for the runabout, and anybody else who's going to be landing to be able to scan for these specific life forms so that nothing gets on the sneak. Vibers is off helping pack down equipment.
Yep. As well as that, yeah, packing down equipment ready to go. Probably an idea if someone can get the transport site set up for Jude to stop getting twitchy.
Okay. Yep, setting up a nearby an enhanced area for a potential emergency transport is no problem.
Yeah, equipment only.
Equipment
Yeah.
only. Yep.
Is that one from Nova?
It leaves more space on the runabout for people.
I'll go where Bertram ever needs me, as I am currently under him first.
Well, you were busy making your
Oh, you mean that,
lures
yeah.
during this.
Sorry, yeah.
So there's currently everyone's got something to do apart from Caval and Andrews now.
Well, Caval will get something to do as soon as a regular shuttle lands, because I think from the sounds of it, you guys were going to take a shuttle rather than a runabout to try and find this missing team. So you're going to need to prep the shuttle.
Until the shuttle arrives, I'll just sort of check the runabouts, the area around the runabout to make sure I don't see any more of these things trying to sneak aboard.
Yep, so he's on security overwatch. Okay, cool.
Yeah, similarly, I think Andrews will be on security overwatch coordinating the actual evacuation plan as a whole.
Alright. Okay then. So, the next... Oh, what was that?
Making a quick listing off the things.
Okay, cool. Right, so Bertram is making sure no stowaways as mapping regions for monolithic energies. Ah, yes. Edwards is making lures. Vibers is starting evacuation materials. Sitting in pattern enhancers. Cool. Caval Andrews on security. Can I get Natala then to give me... sensor readers for monolithic energies. Can I get you to give me a reason and science check then with sensor operations as a focus? And I will give you a difficulty of 1. See how well you do it. On the beam. Okay. It's a bit difficult to tell with the storm and the fact that there is an interference pattern. There is an interference energy on the planet. But there is definitely traces of that. The interference pattern being given off does match the energy wavelengths of monolithic energies, as you put it. Trying to pinpoint it at a specific point in time is proving a little difficult, but who knows, now that you've actually tuned your tricorder to search for it, if you get close to any such energies, the closer the better, you'll get a more definite reading. So, nothing much else happens. You manage to successfully help the initial loading of supplies and setting up of emergency beaming stations, and shuttles start touching down. So you're able to get on board one of the shuttles and fly off to start searching for the missing science team.
Is it just me, or does the Federation, as we're flying, the Federation don't ask this bluntly to everyone, is it just me, or does some people in the Federation like to mess with places that we really shouldn't mess with again?
It's almost like you're explorers.
See science.
What is it you're specifically referring to?
The Botany Bay incident. Parts of the Federation's history we probably shouldn't want to be delving back into. We're now flying to the research station.
Matt, did we decide how well known that incident was?
I was going to say, as a out of character, I'm about to. You're probably going to be yelling at me, but I don't know what you. Well, from the Khan situation,
That's fine. I will
vaguely know what you're talking about, but not actually know what you're talking about because I haven't seen that film.
So,
Which bits for Edwards then?
Give me a second, I just realised I didn't put lighting on this, you can't see. So, the incident to which, I mean, Edwards, can always ask, what are we actually referring to here? And somebody can always answer. So what Edwards, learns is that there's a recorded incident in Federation history some time ago, which records that the USS Enterprise originally made contact with an old Earth vessel which had a number of people in stasis, in cryostasis, and they all hailed from the 21st century, was it?
21st,
Yep.
2058, I think, isn't it?
They were found to be basically a warlord and his followers, who were all genetically engineered humans who were fleeing the gene wars that happened on Earth, where basically the genetically enhanced humans started waging a war on those not. The man responsible was Khan Noonien Singh, who was the leader of this group of genetically enhanced individuals, but they were found by the crew of the USS Enterprise, who overcame them and decided to exile them onto a planet in the Ceti Alpha system. Originally, Ceti Alpha V was a habitable planet, a Class M planet that had wildlife, fruits, vegetables. It was going to be a tough existence for them, but they would have been able to take care of themselves. Unfortunately, a research mission taken by the USS Reliant discovered Ceti Alpha V had suffered some kind of catastrophic event which had rendered the planet entirely, well, covered in debris, sand, an extinction level event had happened. And the Reliant crew sent down an away team to try and find survivors or try and see what was going on, and they found survivors of the Botany Bay, which was the ship that Khan and his crew originally piloted, where they were originally found. Am I making sense here?
Yes.
Cool. So when the USS Reliant found Khan, that was when he marooned the crew of the Reliant on the planet, took control of the Reliant, and hunted down Admiral James Kirk in a bid to get revenge on Kirk marooning him and his people here on the planet and never coming to check on them. And so that's what we're talking about here. Ceti Alpha V used to be a garden planet of sorts, but then its neighbor, Ceti Alpha VI, exploded, which caused I think it was a shifted the orbit of the planet, which of course created a devastating event on the planet, which made it hostile to life, except for the one life form that you've just met.
Lovely.
So, one of the waypoints that the science team has set up is the ruins of the original Botany Bay camp, because the Khan and his genetically enhanced people had turned their ship into a home. Basically, they used everything they could get their hands on, to make a livable habitat, cannibalizing their own ship for pieces. Sorry, John?
Well, that's living out of the cargo base.
Yeah, they were living in boxes by the end of it, yeah.
And Andrew's comment was more along the lines of, you're digging for effectively Blackbeard's pirate ship?
Yeah.
When he might have left someone alive around? Why are we doing this?
And as a purely moralistic question of why shouldn't we leave things better alone? I think that some people take rather the opposite view, and that leaving nothing alone, leaves nothing behind you. But I personally agree with you.
It's just we seem to be wanting as a Federation to dig up past that is best left undone, especially relating to the augmented.
As an extra bit of context, the events I explained happened 105 years ago to where your characters currently are.
And people are still incredibly
curious.
apprehensive about augmented individuals.
Augmented individuals are augmented.
Yes, genetically enhanced individuals are banned in the Federation. You're not allowed to alter your genes. Any further questions before we carry on? Because those are all very good.
And even Bertram's experiments would be leaving some people somewhat antsy.
Yeah, but like I've noted, he's not really doing anything much that botanists have been doing for hundreds of years, which is, monkeying with different plants and seeing if they can cross-pollinate them.
Plus, I believe the official Starfleet reasoning for it is the augmentations had a side effect, whether or not that was by their nature or just by the physiological strain or influence of being, in inverted commas, superior, could probably be argued till the cows go home. But they quite often, like we can't be in the most extreme case, tended to actually lead to sort of feelings of being better than the people around you, which is basically what caused the eugenics wars in the first place. And it's basically kind of like, the Starfleet equivalent to something like the Holocaust. Like, long after it happened, it's so carved into the collective psyche of the human race that they basically have, similar to how Germany has stuff to specifically, both legally and culturally, to try and make sure what happened in World War II could never happen again. Starfleet has taken steps to make sure that eugenics wars can never happen again, hence the sheer amount of fear about those who've been augmented. That's my understanding anyway.
I'm really obsessed with their organization as well. Surely you should have gotten over it.
There's an old saying on our race fibers: those who do not learn from the past are doomed to repeat it. If we do not bear the past mistakes in mind, we could make the same or an even more catastrophic mistake.
Things that drove me down my particular profession to here.
I'd like to point out that the last World War was the eugenics war.
On Earth, yes.
Yeah, yes. For the Earth, yes. Since then, is that mankind has gone through a cultural shift.
Yes, indeed. But as has rightly been pointed out, it's still ingrained enough in the Federation's consciousness that it's even the possibility of being genetically altered makes everyone twitchy and makes them leap to incarcerate you, even if it wasn't your fault as well. So, there's a very nice series of Deep Space Nine episodes where Dr. Bashir meets other genetically enhanced individuals like him, and I think at that point they were reaching for an allegory for autism.
Yes, I think I watched that one recently.
John, what was that?
And missed the mark rather spectacularly.
Yeah.
I mean, any autistic people that were watching and or listening, then, you know, I know that's probably a gross oversimplification, but considering that it wasn't as widely known back then, or at least widely acknowledged, I think was a very nice touch, because once again, Star Trek is proving that, you know, everybody's welcome. Everybody has a place in the Federation kind of thing, so I liked it. Meanwhile, however, philosophical questions notwithstanding, we are piloting a shuttle over a vast desert wasteland in a sandstorm to try and find evidence of another science team. So was there anything else anybody else wanted to get off their brains before we proceeded? Awesome. Now, once again, I'm going to assume that the shuttle was piloted expertly to its next possible location. Or, because you've only got 4 out of 6 momentum, you can try a piloting check to see how well you land this thing, because the storm outside is becoming gradually worse, and even Caval's expert piloting is starting to have trouble with the sheer amount of wind shear that's going on. It's forcing the shuttle to have to land earlier than expected, but you've found a kind of ravine, which is a sheltered area that you can deposit the shuttle in, because you're not that far from the last reported waypoint position of the science team.
I'm quite happy with the assumption,
Okay.
based on previous experience.
I had a feeling, but I thought I'd
Roll
check.
for it. Roll it.
Al, if Andrews wants to try and land it, you know, Caval could maybe put his hands up and go, up, the hat of blame can be handed over if you want to do it.
I'm totally happy to do a control and con roll.
Try and land the thing? Okay. The shuttle can aid as well.
Maybe I should aid as well.
There you go, the hat of blame has been passed. So what are we doing here? That's Andrews. So is Thazanan allowed to aid?
If he wishes to.
Okay. And I will bring in the what's it going to be? It's going to be engines and con for the ship for the. So there we are. The shuttle didn't help at all. It was having a terrible time of things, but between the expertise of Andrews and Thazanan, they're able to bring the shuttle down into a sheltered area. So yes, the shuttle was
Nicely
having...
done, Commander. Nicely done, Commander.
Thank you. It's been a while since I've done that.
So you're in a bit of a lee of the wind at the moment, what with this... not exactly a crevasse, it's not that deep, but it's deep enough that the wind is not quite so bad. There's a lot of debris down here, and sensors suggest that the waypoint station of the Botany Bay exhibit almost is not far from your current position. So you're gonna have to hoof it, I'm afraid.
Going round for any indications of those eels before we leave.
Okie dokie. In which case, I am going to ask for a, let's see, a control plus science check with sensors as a appropriate focus. Which
Does that need new assist, or would you
I
prefer
was
to
going to say, it suggests a Natala, but that's up to you guys what you want to do. If Bertram and Natala want to work together to scan the area.
Good to that. Do you want to take point as you got the sensory focus?
Sure.
Thank you.
Like I said, control and science with focus on engineering. 3 successes, which means you get 1 over and above what you needed. When Natala and you got 2
That's
over
my
above,
assist.
so you're back up to maximum. There we go. So when you get when you send a sensor ping, tuning it precisely for the presence of Ceti eels, you do get several returns. There are a couple of them that are congregating, probably due to the impact of the shuttle on the ground when it landed.
Could fire a phaser further away to try and distract them.
Could just use the shuttle phasers to fire at them. Just scorch the earth around them. If only
Yeah,
Mr. Claw were here.
I'm open to whatever you want to try.
Very different opinions there.
So what would you like to do? Obviously, if you get out, they're going to respond to your being about, but you've got your lures. So what would you like to do?
I'll command it.
I don't think me.
You're the commander. I
You
came
are
up with a
commander.
solution, you came up with a different solution, so that would seem to be that's your intent to shoot them. Unless so your command.
Well, it's a case of they're not going to be able to do much damage to the shuttle, and I would prefer that we have personal devices with us for as long as possible, especially if we're going to have to go on foot on the journey to the actual area where the Botany Bay is.
Might seem like a daft question, but is there any reason we can't remember this modular shuttle's phases, whether we can use that or whether we're setting.
I would assume we probably could.
Might take more out what we thought.
Yeah, that's my thoughts. I think as well as we get rid of them as quickly as possible. I don't want to be dealing with these creatures any longer than we have to, and I'd much rather us be safe.
Okay. So going to use the... Well, which shuttle have you got on the Navis?
Or we brought down the Carpathia.
Yeah, but you decided to... Sorry. go
Oh
on.
yeah, yeah.
Type, what are they? Type 6A shuttles.
Type 6
Don't actually have-
shuttlecraft. I don't
don't actually
have that on me. Let me find out where I need that.
Danube class in the stage 3.
The Danube class run up... Is it Danube or Danubi?
It's Danube. It's Danube.
I see.
The river.
Danube.
River. Danube.
Right, of course. Yeah, the runabouts definitely had phases, but you brought a shuttle.
Okay. Well, they actually had a small phaser on it, but
Some do, some
looks like
don't.
That's a cost. That's an add-on you have to pay for.
Carpathia does say it has phase events.
Yeah, we're not on the top eight. Let's say runabout. We took a shuttle. We left the runabouts. We've called another shuttle down so that the Carpathia and the California can be used to start bringing people up.
Yes, you
Each.
elected to use your bigger vessels to enable you to get more people off the system, off the planet, as quickly as poss. Give me a sec. I want to see if I can find the specifications. Actually, I don't know why I'm bothering, because I can just do it this way. Starship weapons, starship weapons, starship weapons. There they are. It's going to just basically be phaser banks or phaser array. It's going to be phaser banks.
Doesn't actually say whether they had phasers or not. The Type 8 does. But this is the Type
So the
6.
later type will have, but the earlier ones will not. Type 6A, what were they? Were they armed?
Well, it doesn't say. It really doesn't. Just looking from memory out.
I'm looking for examples of them appearing and see whether any of them fire.
Type 6 could be a
Find
memory
the
bank.
command book. Command division. That had a load of ships in.
Cost 2 escalation to arm.
There you are. The Type 6 shuttle, yes, 2 escalation to arm with phaser bank size rate. So there we are. It has a scale of 1, so that adds to that, which makes it a 3. Yeah, that tracks.
Yeah, so we didn't actually plan that, so I think the shuttle doesn't have weapons. So yeah, maybe worthwhile using one on screen.
Just briefly checking that up in the book.
So Type 6 do have phasers, yes, but you have to have them pre-armed as such, I think.
Yeah.
Need to fit the battery packs more than
God, fine.
So we're going to have to, I'm afraid, assume that this shuttle does not carry armament.
So get a screamer, throw it in the middle, and you lot shoot them.
Yeah.
Yep.
Alrighty.
Okay.
So let's add folks to Inish like we did before. It's probably going to be very brief, but I'm going to do it anyway.
I'd say probably myself needs to be first then.
We didn't bring grenades.
Okay.
It would be nice to bring grenades.
So if Edwards goes first in order to lob his Yep, go on.
I would ask before we go going. As we are planning this, would we be able to say we had them set for wide berth rather than?
Ah, yes.
Because we've literally been talking and planning it. So.
Very good. I will go with that. Yep, pre-set them.
Yeah, 'cause we know what we're going to do, so. Be basically to
okay. 5,
run out to here and then just lob it about this area.
3, 2, 1. Right. Can everybody see the combat tracker, the initiative? The initiative queue?
Up for some reason.
Does that mean you can or you can't?
I can't.
Oh, okay.
So it'd probably be trying to get the eels to go after me then. Everyone else after the eels. Else they'd be acting before it gets there. Before they cluster up. Does that sound alright, people?
Yep.
Let's start this again. Okay, so Edwards is going to jump out.
I'm going to throw it back here.
Where are we going to throw it, sorry? There. Okay,
Back here.
Drawing. Squiggle. Nice. So, lob it.
Let's roll or eat.
Let's assume you do. I didn't ask one before, so grab your thing, lob it, over it goes. Now, do you guys want to hold the initiative, or do you want them to move after Edwards in order that they all cluster?
After makes more sense to me.
Cool. Right. So that's why we'll put them there. So Edwards goes out, hurls the lure, which means the eels start to congregate in that area as they are drawn towards the sonic vibrations, and they are now very confused, which means Andrews. What does Andrews want to do?
Now we set up when so the gauntlet's been thrown, hasn't it?
Yep, so we're assuming that everybody has set their phases to wide area burst.
Yeah.
So I'm just going to need you to make a regular control plus security with difficulty 2. To try and take out
Oh God.
Bluster. Okie dokie.
Yay,
So-
my gun's still got sand in it. I forgot.
Alright then. Yes, there's still a malfunction with Andrews' phaser as she takes aim and fires, but the thing kind of fizzles and pops. It seems you got a phaser that was in need of maintenance, and it lets out a short burst, a short area burst, but not enough to do anything, but enough to alert the eels that you're over here. So, Caval. It's time for Caval to save the day again.
Well, the thing is, I can't use my Ushantor on all of them. I'll just have to use my phaser.
Yes.
So I'll step up and fire my phase. Are we sure that all the types can fire on wide beam?
It says, according to...
Type 3 scans, type 1
According to anything that has got the quality of charge, allows you to add the following weapon damage effects to the attack: area, intense, piercing 2, vicious 1. So as long as it's got charge as on the weapon, then you can do it. The type 2 does have charge, so it can do it. So that is a control and security 2 to hit that area. That is exactly what you needed, so roll damage and it applies to the lot of them. Nine successes, 4 effects, so that ensures that all of them are all kept in the thing, and they only have 8. They only have 8 stress, so they're all pretty much knocked out in one shot.
Anything else?
Trying to fix my rifle.
So where Andrews leapt out and had a equipment malfunction, Caval leaps out deftly, takes out the lot in one shot. One thing you do notice now that you're actually standing on the ground outside of the shuttle is that you can actually feel the vibrations in the ground now. It's almost as if there's a constant rumble in the earth. It abates a little bit, but then surges back again. So, yeah.
If you wish to, Novi, you're more than welcome to have a go. Can't get much worse.
Stands a feature.
So, yeah, you can try a daring and engineering check to sit with your tinkering focus to see if you can get this thing to actually work. If you really, really want to, you can spend 2 momentum and create an advantage that Andrews' phaser will now no longer malfunction.
That sounds good use of momentum.
In entirely up to you if you want to spend that momentum, though. But just to generally fix it, then it'll just be a daring and engineering check to get the thing to operate again, because it seems to see. Too late now. She's gone ahead and done it. I see why this wasn't working. Pulls a few bits out.
It's like, hey, it's spare parts.
Sounds of each other.
No, Bert. That's the power cell.
Was the power cell.
Now it has 2.
Why have you installed the trigger?
It's already got a button.
Double action is safer.
The barrel is now pointing back at the user you feel like jinx.
Do you know what? I'm just going to take my time too.
That's a good call.
Okay. Well, you've now got no option. Now that indeed fixed. Nova dusts off her hands. Done. I'm happy with that. Andrews is wondering why it rattles. Are you sure you don't need this bit?
Like a third-party controller. There's always be something in it that rattles.
In any case, like I said, you guys are now left with very few options other than to actually walk it. But because the Botany base station is used as a waypoint, there is a signal beacon which you can track. So you set out, slogging your way through. Yeah, this space is just in case I like it. So you make the slog, and for a while you're walking through very little but sand. There's sand blasting in front of you, there's sand underfoot. Occasionally, out of the murk comes the shadow of an outcropping of rock, which is the only thing that marks your passage. This place is just basically like being caught in a snowstorm, but it's a sandstorm instead. So sand above, sand below, sand all around you. But Natala's tricorder is reading a steady increase in the energy emission that she's been tracking as you go. Eventually, you do come across a flashing beacon of light, which even through the heavy sandstorm you do make out. And you eventually come across a couple of more modern-day pop-up habitats used for you to just take temporary shelter from the storm in. Inside of the habitat, you find basic scrubbers for helping to maintain the filters on an EV suit, EV suit's life support system, and just benches for you to basically sit down in. The whole shelter is temporarily warded from the outside, but you can still feel the rumble of the earth underneath your feet. Just outside of this way station tent, you can actually see these stark lines and shadowy outline of a buried, what looks like a set of cargo containers that have got spot floodlights pointed at them, but not currently activated. And other various bits and bobs which seem to lots of empty sample container boxes, which suggest at one point or another that this particular point of archaeological interest was being pored over by the science team, but it's now being left to the ravages of the environment that it seems to have somehow survived over this last century, which is remarkable considering the time it was actually built. Is anybody going in, or is everybody leaving it well enough alone? Because it is kind of spooky, like this relic of the distant past.
Yeah, I would recommend that we leave it as it is.
We have another priority right now. Which
Yes,
is
we have
finding that.
I take it no sort of life signs coming from it.
No.
Okay. Then we priorities to find the missing people.
You do find a... Sorry, what was that, Davis?
On the comms, effectively wideband. The rescue team for all Starfleet personnel, Starfleet Federation personnel in the area. Your taxi's here, get a move on.
Yes, there is actually a comm booster and a pad, a single solitary pad left behind. The comm booster, obviously, for anybody who wants to send a signal back to the main camp, if you wanted to, and the pad, which is just basically a list of folks who have checked in at this way station. There was, once you check it, a mark of recent expedition by a small group of about 5, and they make note that they were proceeding directly east of here to a rock formation which, due to a recent seismic event, seems to have opened up a hitherto for unexplored series of cave tunnels, which...
I'm just going out on a limb here, but the energy readings that you've been looking at, are they eastwards by any chance?
They are.
One might think.
So, that's your best clue as to what's going on. And so, you set off warily in that direction. Now, you're going to have to cover several hundred meters, which in this storm is trying. Thankfully, you've all had training in slogging through these kind of inhospitable environments. Some of you, very recently, in fact. Edwards. But it still doesn't make it any less of a slog as you're just stomping through undulating sand as you go. But eventually, you do come across the shadow of a cliff face coming at you. Now, I'm going to cluster all your tokens together so that I can copy them again. Whoop, I put Natala over fibers. And yes, shout out to Living Realms who made this map.
I see nothing. Well, I see Andrews.
So I've done it again, have I? Okay. That's fine. I thought I did, but I didn't, so let me...
All these circles make a square.
That's odd. It seems to have... Okay.
There we are.
You eventually come across the obvious signs of an ancient artificial structure. The science team has obviously been here and left behind some equipment, including spotlight floodlights, sample container boxes, a couple of analysis trays, but there's no sign of the team. And, well, the only thing left before you is the yawning entrance of the cave system.
Nothing in the risks.
And of course, there's the very definite evidence on Natala's tricorder of the monolith energy signature, and it's definitely very strong here. There's another, this time stronger rumble in the ground as the quakes start to be progressively getting worse. Your time is, it seems, running short. And that, my brethren, is where we are going to leave it for this week.
Very much.
So, we will have to find out what it is you actually discover down in the depths next week So, yeah. Any questions? Anything I left out? Anything that I didn't do? Nope. Awesome. I always have that nagging feeling. Sorry?
You didn't Khan.
I didn't Khan. I'm afraid I really do not have the vocal capacity for that kind of thing. But there's also the excuse that I've got noise cancellation software running, and you would probably just see me with my mouth open and there's no sound coming out, with this little notice saying, your microphone appears to be noisy. No, that's awful.
We're actually in the twist is we're actually in the mirror universe. In this universe, the line was.
In this universe, Kirk was the bad guy. Oh wait.
No, in this universe, Kirk followed the rules.
It's a mirror universe, not Fantasyland.
He went around adopting children rather than just creating them.
No, he did because he was emperor. He became emperor, so yeah, he did follow the rules because he made his own rules.
Wow. Well, thank you to everybody who tuned in for the stream. It's much appreciated. For those of you watching on YouTube, as is usual, please fancy giving this a like at least if you can, because that helps promote all the other guys who are also doing fantastic Star Trek Adventures games. And yeah, it keeps it alive on the old algorithm. So until next week, we'll find out what it is exactly that the team discovers when they descend into the depths. Until that time, I wish everybody a good evening. Take care of yourselves, especially in these uncertain times. Live long and prosper. Hailing frequencies are now closed.